Hello YouTube, welcome to my gear room on this chilly February day. Today I wanted to have a talk about butcher knives through the years and some of my favorites and modifications. So let me get this thing turned around and we'll have a look at some oldie goldies. Okay, this is the quintessential, everybody's seen one, everybody probably has one in their kitchen drawer. Ontario Old Hickory knife. I got this one recently for $9 at our local brick and mortar family owned hardware store and found this sheath at one of our local flea markets for I think 9 or 10 bucks. So for the under 20 bucks you can get the two of them, and over the years this has been one of my favorite knives for going out into the woods. Let me start with some of my first ones. Over here on the far right is a 1800s J. Russell American cutlery knife that looks rather Kephart-esque. It was my grandpa's that he passed to me when he died. The next pair is my first Scout modification on an Old Hickory butcher knife on a November weekend following Thanksgiving in 1965. My Scoutmaster, retired Air Force pilot 06 Gene Evans, took us out into the woods, us boys, to earn our totem chip, which was the Boy Scout qualifications that showed we could be safe to handle bladed tools outdoors. And one of the first things we did after earning our totem chip on a Friday is that on Saturday morning he gave us each one of these Old Hickory butcher knives, and we began the series of modifications to turn it from this one on the left that's easily recognizable 6.5-inch butcher knife into the right-hand version. That's what we had at the end of the day. We took a roll of tape to template rounding the edge off and dropping it to a not very symmetrical spear point. After having accomplished that, we rolled the edges and softened them in the first third of it and accented the back of the spine to an extra crisp 90 degrees. Following that, he had us use our folding knives to loosen the scales and take them off, sand the metal, epoxy them back on, round the edges, and reprofile them so they'd be a little more ergonomic and comfortable in the hand. After that, we forced a patina with white vinegar, dressed the blade, and then made a sheath for it. So this is the smaller brother of the quintessential 8.5-inch Old Hickory butcher knife. This is that quintessential larger Old Hickory butcher knife, and a knife with a similar mods that my grandfather and I did on his blade in 1965. So these two odd-looking Kephart-esque modifications of Old Hickory knives, I've been taken out in the woods for almost 50 years. A friend of mine suggested to me that these things were hand forged because of he imagined that those were hammer marks. They're not. My grandpa said that he got all of these knives in upper state New York, and they were all made from stock that came out of the Rochester stamping works. So this one up here, let me see if I can get close in on it so we can see that this one is from Queen's Cutlery. This next one is J. Robeson, and it says hand hammered, but it's not. These things came out of stamped stock, all of them from the Rochester stamping works. This one is a J. Russell that came out of stamped stock that, according to their records, they did purchase a lot of this corrugated stock and this flat stock for their various knives, and they purchased every bit of it from Rochester stamping works. And then this last little analog down here is a modern rendering of what I think was probably a J. Russell butcher knife that belongs to David Canterbury that he found in a yard sale for $3. So anyway, every one of these has a similar appearance. I have another one that looks exactly like this with two pins that says Camelus on it. I have another one with 3 pins, looks exactly like this, found it in a flea market. It says Case. So all of these companies existed before the turn of the century. This Queen's Cutlery was purchased in New York, but later, if I understand right, they moved a few miles south just over the border in Pennsylvania where they are today. Jay Robeson, also in New York. Jay Russell was purchasing stock. I think he was in Massachusetts, where ultimately he set up his giant Green River factory. But all of these knives have been my favorites over the years. I still carry this 1859 J. Russell American Cutlery knife with me out in the woods. Probably my favorite go-to knife is this 1960s Old Hickory with its mods to make it slightly Kephart-esque. The blades on all of them fit in my preference of being just a little under 1/8 of an inch thick. Good geometry for slicing and cutting. Thick enough to baton if you had to. I don't know why you would. It would mean you forgot to take a hatchet out in the woods with you. But these are all my favorite butcher knives. You can still find these in flea markets. One of these by Old Hickory I found in a local flea market for $5. Of course, no sheath. Easy to find all over the place if you don't want to spend $9 and get one in a package. So, butcher knives, favorite stuff for going out in the woods. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for visiting. We'll see you the next time.